speaking to you from Mesa, Arizona. I'm actually in preparations for a number of trips around the country and around the world this summer. One of them being the journey up into the Great White North, up to Canada, outside of Ontario, or up north of Ontario. Have not been to this location, but I understand that it's pretty far north in a beautiful land, a beautiful country. Um, this is an area that's known as the Grandmother's Lodge. It's a center which actually promotes Indigenous knowledge teachings and is held by two Indigenous grandmothers, among other people who really want to promote this understanding, this knowledge to getting out to the rest of the world. So that's where I'll be. I'll actually be there in June around the 23rd to the 29th. Um, it's a week-long gathering where we will be going over what I like to call the advanced connection practices. You know, these ways of connecting deeply to nature, to ourselves, to the universe, and to each other. We will be holding a really a sustainable village type model there, where cultural practices will be put into play. And we're looking at bringing in families and single people and elders and children, and we want the whole village model in operation. So uh, we're going to be going through cultural teachings, obviously. We'll also be going through various connection practices, different types of very simple nature connection practices, and then very complex different types of rites and rituals. These are both for experience, for surface area for people to learn, to grow from, and then also, of course, the teaching component, which involves, understanding why these are important and why we utilize these, and even helping people to become more competent with their understanding of these rituals, these connection practices as they are, and how to utilize them in their life in a really positive way and a practical way, in a way in which they can really incorporate it right back into their lives wherever they're from. Whether that's the hustle and bustle of a city or a rural area. There's ways to incorporate this, and we're going to go deep into those teachings because we want this to be applicable to your life. It's not just an experience you have and then have fond memories of. It's actually designed, and the goal is to give it to you in such a way that it will be part of you, and in that you walk and live with it, and understanding and just is part of your life. Uh, so, for example, some of the rituals that we'll be going through, or the rites that we'll be going through, are like purification rites. How to use water in a means of purifying your body, your heart, your mind, even your spirit. Um, Different elements, like utilizing fire as well, to purify, to learn, to grow from. Utilizing the earth, and what it can teach us in a really deep communication type level. We're also going to be looking at air and the breath, the voice, the speech, and what that means, and the energy transfer that takes place with that. So that's some of the more basic ways, actually. And then we get into things like rites of competency. We'll be speaking and actually going through rites of competencies. Perhaps for some that will be sitting out in the woods overnight with fire, just them in nature, to give them reflection time. Perhaps that will be holding space around some sort of rite or ritual of the community, speaking before the group, saying a gratitude, speaking from their hearts, spontaneously, really being connected with themselves in that moment, so that they can constantly be like that and show the group that they are like that. So there's different levels of rites of competency, of course. We're also going to be doing potential rites of passage, such as the Vision Quest. And the Vision Quest is what I would call an advanced connection practice. There's a complexity to it, especially with the lineage that I'm working with, and that lineage. Um, there's a lot of things to do to get ready for that. There's a lot of components of nature that have to gather, and then there's the actual seeing of the intent, desire, and what that means for you, and then going through that process, and then coming up the other side and being held by the community in that container, so that the lessons that were learn during that time of the quest can be harvested and processed, and the person can grow with that, and the community can grow. Even if it's a temporary community, it still can grow, and many good things can come from that. We'll also be working with elders on what we call elder rite of competency or elder rite of passage. Um, and what that means, which is one of those things that's really lacking in our world, and that understanding of what it is to be an elder, and also what it is to recognize as elder, that rite of passage. So that's just a taste of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing so much more, and including just having a good time, sharing meals together, singing songs, playing music, and enjoying each other's company. So I'm looking forward to anyone that can make it. I definitely welcome you, and I hope to see you there. Um, Katie Albert is coordinating this event, and please reach out to her. She's very accessible, as you all know. If you've talked to her at all, and she's really dedicated to this work, and it's my pleasure to be working with her and her family and the grandmothers, the grandmother, all of you. So, all right, until next time, I'll see you again.